Hellblade 2 just dropped, and I forgot. Exactly like everyone else in the world, honestly, though. But this did answer one of the questions that I had yesterday, because I was seeing a bunch of new comments about Hellblade 2, the video that I did not too long ago, and people were absolutely spazzing out like there's no tomorrow. Oh, it's awesome! You don't know what you're talking about! You didn't even play it yet! It's not woke! And all of that stuff. Having an opinion is fine. But having an opinion and specifically searching out videos on the internet that corroborate you because, you need someone to validate you, or videos that go against you so you can try and fight them and tell them they're wrong because people are not allowed to dislike what you think is good, that's pathetic.
All right, we're here with our Hellblade 2 review, and
Okay.
yeah, I found the game extremely disappointing, and I'm going to get into that, but definitely between a rock and a hard place on this review. Not fun.
I heard Hellblade 2 is literally like 5 hours or 6.
I'll tell you what, because the Xbox community despises me. They think I hate the brand. And then we have PlayStation fans who despise me as well because they think I love Xbox. And then also there's that kind of weird factor in the middle of I kind of made comparisons between Ninja Theory's potential and Naughty Dog, and they didn't like that much. And that's a take that's going to age like milk based on this review. And yeah, I'd like to issue a retraction on that one because I was definitely dead wrong. Worse yet, the circumstances surrounding Hellblade 2 couldn't be worse for Ninja Theory. There was already a lot of anticipation for the game. Ninja Theory was acquired by Xbox in 2018 with what felt like...
Was there a lot of anticipation for the game? I'm not sure I believe that. Well, to be honest, I haven't still played it, and I do not even want to play it, first of all. I don't even know if it's actually woke. Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it anything? Hellblade 2 is one of the most tossed up things in the world. But admittedly, how many people literally tried to tell me, no, you're an idiot if you think this is woke. This is not woke, and their profile pictures were colorful rainbows and shit. I'm gonna kind of lean on the idea that I didn't play it, I don't know, but my assumption currently is 100% the message.
Like a public statement to gamers that despite what had happened during the Xbox One generation, the company was here to stay and invest in smaller games as a part of their business moving forward. The feeling right now is that Xbox needs its biggest win yet in a time of great uncertainty surrounding both the company's direction and the lifespan of its 30-plus studios. At the same time, Xbox is under fire because of its lack of marketing for Hellblade 2 and what is their first major exclusive in 2024.
Is it under fire?
And a potential prestige product, something they've said behind the scenes they're looking for, to rebuild some public confidence in the brand. The trick is, guys, gals, is Xbox did market this game a lot. You've possibly seen like every big moment of Hellblade 2. My Naughty Dog take may have been completely incorrect, but at least I can hang my hat on the fact that I called this one.
No one even commented about the fact that there's marketing for Hellblade 2. Huh. Interesting. So there was? Did everyone just miss it? What was it in public urinals or something?
From pretty far away as to why Hellblade 2 wasn't being marketed. It wasn't really, in my opinion, being sent out to die. There just wasn't much left to show, as I'll display in this review. Announced alongside the Xbox Series X in 2019.
Wait a minute, we watched your video. You said that it's completely left out to dry and no marketing is happening. Ooh, Maddie. Oof, man. I mean, again, if you dude, we're not talking about something that changes the world. We're literally talking about a fucking shitty 5-hour long game, okay? I am gonna make all the baseless assumptions that I want because I'm a normal person and my life does not revolve around being right or wrong about a game that no one cares about and I don't really care about. I'm just here for the drama.
Many expected Hellblade 2 sooner, and I think the game would have actually fared better in my experience if it were just that, maybe a launch title or something like that. It's a game that feels like it's been lapped by much of its competition, such as a Plague Tale Requiem, in every conceivable way. It's a game that could serve as a case study to show how perfectionism has seeped into AAA style games and lets them spin their wheels for far too long with little meaningful progress made for the actual players of the game. Merely just
I didn't even understand that sentence, okay?
The technology. It's a game that perfectly shows how a larger
brain too smooth, it just slides right off, boys.
Team size doesn't grant you a better game. Ninja Theory was around like 20 some odd people when Hellblade 1 was made. They were 80 with Hellblade 2. And I think you can feel that in the visuals, but when you play the game, Nope. It's a game that shows you how mere graphical fidelity can no longer carry an experience, and in my opinion, never could. Worse yet, I think
Wait, that looks like in-game graphics. That looks pretty good, to be completely honest.
fidelity can no longer
But yeah, graphical fidelity is not a substitute for actual gameplay or storytelling or anything else.
carry an experience, and in my opinion, never could. Worse yet, I think Hellblade 1 is far better in almost
Yeah, this doesn't look that great. Is this Hellblade 1?
every aspect. Its level design, pacing, storytelling, and even how it gets to the core of touching issues like Psychosis, the series' primary theme it delves deep into. Hell, the combat could be argued as being better in the original, given you no longer have mechanics like dodge roll attacks, and that's saying something given Hellblade 2's combat isn't really having much going on there. If I were to define this as anything, to put it in a little bottle here, it's Xbox's The Order 1886 moment, but even then, it's kind of a stretch, which is why it's not in the title of the review. I really like games such as The Order 1886 and Rise Son of Rome. Both served as showcases for their respective hardware and made no hesitation about flexing their technical might.
Oh yeah, I remember these games. They were okay, but they weren't spectacular, so they kind of just, faded from everyone's memory.
Yet, they didn't leave the most important factor behind: fun. Both of these games, in my opinion, are very fun to play when they let you play. Rise's combat is a guilty pleasure, and its story is extremely entertaining, leading to me doing full playthroughs twice over when I first bought my Xbox One at launch. The Order's world and story take time, but when it picks up alongside its gameplay, I think it's excellent, and then it ends. It's that line there that you can closely draw between The Order and Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 has its fleeting moments of excellence beyond its visuals, but they're quickly forgotten due to most of the experience consisting of walking forward, boring puzzles where there are far too many, might I add, an unreasonably limited amount of combat encounters, and an ending that leaves you feeling like there was so much left on the cutting room floor here. I'm gonna get into
Yeah, again, man, you look at the things that you see about Hellblade, and it screams modern audiences from start to finish.
rich detail now, but that's the too long didn't read. Hellblade 2 is a game that certainly I was championing. I don't make Naughty Dog comparisons lightly, and they completely missed the mark in my opinion, and I far prefer Hellblade 1.
I do. They made She-Hulk at the end of the day. Naughty Dog deserves the worst in life.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into the occasional day one review, consider subscribing. Let's start off with the story. I'm going to go very light on this section because we're talking about a game that has maybe a runtime of 5 hours. So Senna was traveling to kill the North.
Oh, Jesus, it actually is 5 hours. I was kind of joking when I said 5. I actually thought this was 6.
Men who are abducting her people and enslaving them. She's quickly derailed from that plan in a tale that feels like it made very little sense until the story's dying moments. Instead of this being a story focused on just Senua alone, she's joined by a support cast that doesn't get much of an opportunity to shine outside of one who joins you at the journey's very beginning, and his development does add quite a lot to the story. Otherwise, the short runtime here hurts as these added characters don't have much time to develop. Meanwhile, Senua's journey is a depiction of how others interact with one who suffers from psychosis, and the game displaying how her darkness, as they put it, is a gift that can save her people. I think? I'm not entirely sure here. Right? And not because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, so I also know that this game is supposed to be a delve into psychosis, but none of this convinces me about anything psychosis. If you have psychosis, you can't tell what's real and not. I from all the trailers, from everything that I have seen, I don't feel that anyone is even going to figure out that it's about psychosis if it actually is about psychosis. So that's super bad.
Idiot. It's because I think the game, compared to the original, does not convey its themes well enough throughout, again, this very short runtime. Remember in the first game, Senna was cast out because her psychosis is claimed to be a darkness handed down from her mother. That journey was about her overcoming that alongside the grief of losing the only one who ever loved her and trying to bring him back to life. In the sequel, Senua is still coping with death, but in a different way, as it's following her wherever she goes, and she starts to begin to blame herself for the death that surrounds her both past and present. In Hellblade 1, everything—
Wait, how the fuck is that even psychosis? How is blaming yourself for someone's death psychosis? What the hell?
From its combat to even the puzzles was in service of an impactful story being told. You didn't just fight to break things up. You fought because it was a depiction of Senua's struggles at that moment. you didn't solve puzzles to extend the length of a game, at least most times. It was typically done in synchronization with Senua learning something about herself or the world. Hellblade 2 is the opposite in all regards, and perhaps that was the saddest part for me about this review. It feels like all that Ninja Theory did to make the first game special was completely forgotten for pretty graphics, beautiful lighting, and exceptional motion capture. I think it's wonderful because it definitely is going to be a technical showpiece, but as someone who loved the first Hellblade, I feel like we totally missed what made that game special.
The hell just even happened here? I'm so confused.
Now, for those who haven't played Hellblade before, one of its greatest strengths, and it is present in this game, is being unable to tell what's real and what's not. However, I think there was a thread that Ninja Theory kind of had their hand on that they would pull at times to really connect things and make sense of what was real and what wasn't, whether it be through how encounters were set up and what Senua was actually fighting. Was it her personal demons or actual enemies? Hellblade 2 does just that. This game is super seamless in its storytelling. There's no breaks for load screens, nothing like that. It just goes, and that's one of the best parts about the game, is you'll just have these beautiful transitions between reality and maybe not reality, and then big cutscene and gameplay, and it's all, again, beautiful and seamless. It is definitely something that many AAA developers are going to study, but I think as a player of games, there isn't going to be a lot for people to take away here, because
why is her village just exiling her, by the way, if she's insane and they think she's possessed by demons? Why not just kill her?
Again, when you go down to the story, the main thing I loved about Hellblade 1, as I raved about it in my original review, Hellblade 2, I think, just delivers things in such a messier way. And even when you start to come to understand what they're trying to do here by the game's final moments.
Also, so malnourished woman that is more looks like Asmongold than Asmongold is fighting her demons, actual enemies, and everything like that, and just absolutely slaying everything, and on top of that being mentally ill. Okay.
It ends.
Unless this game makes her fight demons, and then it turns out she just slaughtered an orphanage, I'm not buying it. This is gonna be really hard to make it interesting. Because if you can't distinguish fiction from reality, well, delusion from reality in this case, and there is no consequences for your actions in delusion that make you fearful for making actions in the first place, I don't feel like this could be good. Honestly, I think there is a place for a game where you are a character that's insane, and you can't distinguish reality from fiction, okay? If you go and fight something, maybe you're actually killing a defenseless child. Maybe if you don't fight something sometimes, you actually let something bad happen. That could be interesting, but this does not seem like it at all.
Just like I mentioned with the Order 1886, you're like, okay, I'm on board here. If we get like another 2 more hours here, this is about to be sick. And then it ends. Now, some may say, well, that confusion, that's the point, Maddie. That's the whole idea of the game. You're not supposed to really know. You're supposed to be in Senua's shoes. You're supposed to really feel her pain, her confusion, and fair.
Pain about what?
At the same time, though, I think Hellblade 1 exists as a perfect example of doing that without totally losing the player. And oftentimes, I found Hellblade 2's story to feel quite aimless, which you just can't afford to have in such a short runtime, as I'm about to hammer home here in many other ways. I'll just say that I can't imagine many people are going to be thrilled to wait for a part 3 of Senua's Tale after 5+ years of waiting for Hellblade 2. Just to get to this point, play for a few hours and go, okay, I got to wait another X amount of years for more. It definitely leaves you feeling a little shortchanged. The game's visuals do aid its storytelling capabilities. I mean, it's basically a 5 to 6 hour movie, so it does the job well. The motion capture is absolutely...
Also, if she actually has a friend, I hope that friend is actually imaginary. Everything seems bad, I'm not gonna lie. Everything just seems kind of bad the way that he's explaining it. It seems boring. Also, she's ugly.
Excellent, as is the acting. The performances here are really good, in my opinion, and can heighten some of the biggest moments in the game.
Why does she have roid rage on her face? You know, those veins bulging out. The hell is this?
The voices, though, that Senua hears, speaking of Psychosis earlier, in my opinion, are handled worse this time because they're basically like the yellow paint for storytelling. Rather than depicting Senua's uncertainty, the struggles that haunt her, most times they just point out the obvious during very important cutscenes, and oftentimes are speaking over characters already talking. But that's the point, Maddie. She's experiencing this, and you're feeling it through her shoes. I feel that there is a way to do it right, Hellblade 1, and a way to do it wrong, Hellblade 2. Beyond just having these voices speak over important parts of the story, which to many may be a compelling part of Hellblade 2 because it puts you in Senua's shoes further, for me it was serving more as a distraction, but perhaps my biggest problem is what I stated earlier, which is the usage of the voices, in particular pointing you toward various obvious things in the world. You know how all these AAA games have yellow paint all over the place and it just guides you throughout the world? Think of that for storytelling when it comes to the voices Senua hears in her head, which is in line with other AAA games where they're telling you where to go, where to climb, who to talk to, what you should do for your next objective. It, to me, misaligns what the original point of the voices in her head were, which was to guide Senua as a character, right? To evolve her character, describe her thoughts, paint a picture of that. Instead here, they're used to...
Is there a goal? What is the goal of this game? I'm so confused because none of this makes sense if there's no goal. How can you how can you review Hellblade 2 by describing all of these things and not actually explaining does it even make sense? Maddie, please, I'm watching a review, you say. I don't understand. What is the point of this? I'm confused. I don't understand anything that's going on at any point anyway. Come on. Chop.
Guide you to the next step. It's not all the time. Oftentimes her thoughts will develop her character. And it's in those moments that I feel the greatest pain because it's like we're so close. You have those moments where you're right there. You get it. And then you go back to using it as yellow paint instead of actually enhancing and exposing different parts of Senua's character and the various thoughts she was having. Like someone would clearly be menacing and the voice would be like, oh, they're evil. They're clearly bad. I'm like, yeah, I can I can tell he's got his weapon drawn on me. It would just in those moments not add to it. Again, this is going to be something I think many people are going to have a problem with because you're not supposed to critique these types of things. But I just think when you look at Hellblade 1, they used it in a much smarter way. To my surprise, Hellblade 2 actually does have a New Game Plus option that can add a little extra time to your play clock if you're so inclined to double dip. I won't say what it is, but on a second replay, it may add some new wrinkles to the story. It's not enough to save your experience if you're in my shoes, but you may end up liking it a lot if you end up enjoying the main story of Hellblade 2. Ultimately, I think games like A Plague Tale Requiem are perfect examples of how this style of design from 2017 has been lapped multiple times, might I add, but I think A Plague Tale Requiem is the best example because that was my game of the year in 20.
Okay, no, yeah, as a review, this completely flops and bombs. I don't understand anything. I don't understand the premise. I don't understand anything. Matthew, this is not a review. This is, I don't know, this is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 left me in rambling mode. I don't know. I don't understand anything. I have more questions now than answers. In fact, I didn't get any answers to anything. I'm confused.
2022. The analog stick forward, and that is...
Okay, well, I guess that's a review part at least.
Hellblade 2, I think things like level design went much further in Hellblade 1 to make it more interesting to explore these levels, thus leaving a lot more impact. Whereas in Hellblade...
Was that Kratos?
impact.
No, kind of just
whereas in Hellblade 2,
like
you get puzzles like this bubble one where you're kind of switching between realities and it's changing the world around you. You just focus on them. There are the same rune puzzles that you'll remember from Hellblade 1 where you have to like focus on these symbols and match them all up. And this culminates in one of the all-time...
Okay, puzzles. Got it. I think we're done. I learned nothing. Hellblade 2 is still a sad disappointment from everything that I have heard so far. I don't care. That was Mr. Matty Plays. 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.